if you don't stop, by the time you're 50, you're going to have Alzheimer's.
Too many people running from the training because they just want to be able to get in the ring and start throwing punches.
They want the end result before they put the work in. Life is about suffering.
Yeah.
And overcoming that suffering to create a stronger connection. Pain is somewhat necessary. You find out who you are, right?
At the beginning of every training camp, my strength and conditioning coach, Phil Daru, had
That guy's
stuff.
very respected.
Yeah.
Highly respected guy.
So it allows you to be better throughout that process. But another thing it did is teach me a lesson. Put yourself in uncomfortable situations and be able to articulate what you want to understand. And that allows you to grow.
One of the reasons that I think a lot of men don't have endurance anymore is because they don't have anyone to endure for. Phil Daru, thank you so much for being here. It's great to have you on the podcast, man.
Thank you for having me, man.
First one, actually. So
yeah, I'm honored.
Yeah,
I'm honored.
It's great to have you here. Man, we were talking before we got rolling, but I want you to kind of give people a picture of your background. So you're from Broward County.
Yeah.
You had an incredible story. You still have an incredible story. You're still building that story out. But tell us a little bit about, like, you grew up, got into karate when you were 4 years old.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about your upbringing.
It was for what I can remember.
Yeah.
I thought it was a great upbringing. Like, I've been through some issues, and there's, obviously you go towards what you feel is your purpose in the beginning. But when I could start out in 4 years old, doing martial arts, playing sports, I knew that my family, at least my parents, had the right intent on putting me in these positions to succeed, to go towards a goal, to go towards something that I could achieve. Now, I moved a lot. I moved about maybe every 2-3 years, we would move to a different location, right? And so I would have to evolve. I would have to try to adapt to my new environment. And these environments weren't the greatest, but at a young age, you don't really know any different, right? And so I think the biggest thing for me was being able to understand how to be adaptable and communicate appropriately to the environment or to your surroundings. And being involved in sports, being involved in martial arts, it allowed me to have some type of goal to accomplish. And that's why I like performance, not so much fitness and health. I mean, obviously that's a precursor.
Sure.
But performing, right? Getting ready for something, training. There's a difference between working out and training. When you're working out, you're working out your body, you're gaining some level of sweat and grit and
and hopefully results. Hopefully you're getting results.
You'll get the result, yeah. But then there's training for a purpose, training for a specific goal. And I've always had that. And I think that was something that allowed me to identify what is my true purpose. And then that correlated over into me helping others get ready for competitions and so on.
Don't want to get way off subject on it, but on that point, is that why so many people fail when it comes to fitness and getting in the gym, is because there isn't a clear set of goals for them? They just go in and say, I'm going to pick up something heavy and put it back down and I'll be in shape.
Absolutely. I think that in the beginning, you have to figure out what is your limitations.
Yeah.
And so whenever I start with an athlete or a client, my goal is to identify what is the limiter, what is their why, and then we can formulate the program and the process that goes aligned with that.
Yes.
But yes, people start off by just going, I'm just going to go in there and work out. And now that's not bad to get started.
Yeah.
But to keep the momentum going, you have to have a goal in mind. And there should be small goals to lead into the grand goal. And then from there, once you accomplish it, well, then you got to set a new goal. Set a new task, and then formulate the plan accordingly. So we typically like to hit on these small rocks throughout the week. And every day you want to have your priorities, you want to have those goals, and you want to have something that is going to move you in the direction of where you want to go long term. So when I formulate my weekly schedule, it's based off of my main priorities each day. And those 3 priorities or 4 priorities, whatever they are, they need to lead to a goal that's going to be accomplished throughout that day. And then it compounds over time. So every day, every week, I know exactly what I need to do to get to the end result. But with people, they start off by going, all right, I'm just going to go ahead and get to the gym. And you should do this to get acclimated, right? Maybe it's 5 minutes, maybe it's 30 minutes, and create a new habit.
Mm-hmm.
Once you create that habit, then it becomes your identity.
Right.
And so when you have that, now you know, okay, this is something that I do. This is not something that I have to do, I get to do. And it's the biggest difference, that mindset shift, right? And it clicks for a lot of people when they get that understanding.
For sure. So you did karate. That was a goal that is very goal oriented, right? You're constantly moving up, and then you got into football too, right? And you played D1 ball, right?
Yeah, I played for Alabama State. I mean, in Florida, South Florida, football is a way of life.
Yeah.
You know, Texas.
I was gonna say I grew up in Texas.
Yeah,
so I
yeah,
totally
yeah.
understand.
Same.
Yeah.
So that there, it was. I played all sports. I played baseball, basketball, but football was something that like I really took to. I like the competitive nature of it. I played linebacker, played strong safety, played running back. And that allowed me to identify my weaknesses, right? And then figure out what I needed to do to prepare for a season. And so every off season I would go, all right, how can I get better? How can I get bigger, stronger, faster? And there was never an off season to a degree. Like you're always preparing for the next task. And when people ask me like, why did you start being a performance coach? It was because it just was second nature. I don't know any different. And then I have this confidence in myself when people go, how did you know you could do it? I was like, it's not that I didn't know or knew I could do it. I just didn't know that I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I had no other choice. It was just something that I went after. And so it keeps going in that nature. And I try to identify, now being older, identify what is my strengths and what are my weaknesses. And then from there, I figure out what is the true path to get me to the goal that I want to go to.
So D1 football.
Yep.
You were also training MMA?
So I trained boxing in high school and then went to mixed martial arts after I got out of college.
After college?
Yeah. It was funny because I wanted to box. So I got out of school and I'm like, I got to compete, right? I got to go to the next thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so martial arts was the background that I had. I had great striking skills through boxing and Kempo karate. And then I met an individual by the name of Dean Thomas. And he was an ex-UFC fighter. At the time, he was still fighting in the UFC. And he had a satellite gym in the small area of Port St. Lucie where my parents moved to.
Okay.
And it was an American top team gym,
Yep.
which is one of the biggest gyms in the world for mixed martial arts. And I said to him, I rolled up on him when he was opening up the gym and I go, man, I want to fight. And he looked at me, he was like, okay, kid, you want to fight? Like, rough around the edges still,
Yeah.
And so he's like, come to a class, see how you do. And it was a grappling class.
Okay.
And I was like, I don't really want to grapple. I don't want to like wrestle around.
I want to punch people.
Yeah, I just want to punch people in the face.
Yeah, that's right.
And I did it and I was like, okay, I'm pretty good at this thing.
Yeah.
And so what's the transition here? And he was like, well, now you're going to have to start training at least once a day, maybe 2 times a day. I was like, okay, this is a lifestyle change. And so I engulfed myself in that process. And it was 3-a-day sessions throughout the week, along with me working with clients and training them because I needed to make money. I was broke, still somewhat college kid, right?
Right.
And that allowed me to identify, okay, this is something that I know that I'm good at for one, and then I can take it to the next level. And so I started doing amateur fights and that went one way. I was pretty successful in the amateurs, but then I started to gain more notoriety on the training side, on the coaching side. So I started coaching, just clients here and there, sneaking them to Gold's Gym. And then from there, I was like, all right, I need to find a space. And so I started to look for places that I could train my people. And I was working with the strength and conditioning coach. I was working my strength and conditioning. He said, if you want to come in here and train some clients, go ahead. So I started doing some just basically independent contractor jobs, right? Bringing them in, renting out the space and getting after it. But at that time, it started to grow. And now I'm still trying to create a path for my career. But these things are coming along and I'm starting to train more and more. So now my focus has been shifted. And this is where a lot of people go wrong, is that they start to focus on too many different things. And when I did that, I started to lose fights. I wasn't focused on training. And that started to diminish, started to degrade. So I had to make a shift. And it was one point in time, I was working with a professional boxer and he was a world champion. And I was in camp with him and I was in camp for my own fight. And I came late to one of his training. So I had to leave my training to go train him. And as I came late, he was like, man, what are you doing? He's like, do you want to be a fighter or do you want to be a coach? Because you can't do both. And at the time, I'm like, ah, man, get out of here. What is he talking about? Like, I can do both, whatever. Now I'm 23, 24 years old right now.
Yeah.
So I'm young.
Yeah.
And I have this mentality that I can do anything. But looking back at it, he was right. I should have focused on the thing that I knew that was going to lead to my true purpose and understanding why I'm here and helping others achieve their goals.
What is the purpose? What is your purpose?
Well, first and foremost, my purpose is to know and love God. And from there, I fine-tune the skills, the talent that he's given me so that I can improve other people's lives. Because at the end of the day, our goal is to help others.
Yeah.
No matter what you're doing. This is what you do here. You're helping others understand certain things, certain themes, you know. And for me, I found that I had a great understanding of how to move the body and how to put people in the right place to get to where they want to be, whether it be for fighting, whether it be for a sport, or whether it be just somebody that's trying to increase their life, right? Increase their longevity or improve their ability to have energy throughout the day.
Right.
And put themselves through difficult situations and then overcome those difficult situations.
So you said something that caught my attention. You said that you were focused on too many things.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
You focus on so many things, you're actually focused on nothing, right?
Yep.
The word focus requires it's pointed, directed at one particular thing. I think a lot of young people today do not understand that, right? They're getting pulled in 1,000 different directions. Social media is telling them a million different things to do. I know so many young guys, my sons are friends with them. My sons have been them at times where they'll look at like all these courses that people are selling online, right? And all these guys telling them you can make money doing this, you're going to do this, you're going to do this. 1,000 different things are being told. What do you say to those guys who they're all trying to find their way? It's really tough right now to do that, trying to find their way, and they're getting hit with a shotgun full of options, but so many of them aren't even real options. What would you tell them?
Slow down, take your time, be patient. I wish I could tell that to myself at 20. The biggest thing now is that we have so much information out there. It's paralysis by analysis. And so they get drifted in other directions that aren't the path.
Yeah.
So they have to take a step back, really slow down the process, really envision what you want long term, right? And then digest all the information accordingly towards that end vision. Yes. If you want money, you want fame, you want these materialistic things, we have to start to take a step back and truly find out exactly why we are here.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. You know, having nice things is nice.
Yeah.
And having the ability to do things are nice. But you have plenty of time. And a lot of people think that they don't because they are looking at their peers or they're looking at people on social media and they're saying, why not me? Why am I not there yet? Everybody has their own path.
Yeah. That comparison trap, right?
It's
everybody's comparing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And they have the fear of not getting to that position right away.
Yeah.
The biggest thing that I've learned in the past 10 years, really, is that it's going to come in due time. Not in my time, in God's time.
Yeah.
And so that's where I have to really reflect and identify why I'm doing what I'm doing. I think a lot of young individuals need to start to do that, especially in their 20s and in their early 30s.
So interesting you say that. I literally had a conversation with someone last night. We were talking about, they mentioned the story of Joseph from the Bible, right? And they're like, you know, because this was a guy, he was so full of himself when he was young and he believed all these things about himself and then God had to bring him down. And they finished talking about it and they said, honestly, I know the story. I disagree with the way you were telling the story. The way I see the story is God showed Joseph who he was going to be. He gave him vision, gave him a glimpse of his future, little fraction of it, right? But in order for God to get him to where he needed him to be, he had to not punish him. He had to prepare him.
Yep.
And so many times we view preparation as punishment. We view God putting us in a place where it's like, I gotta give you skills. I've got to train you. I've got to prepare you for what I have for you. And we're like, why are terrible things happening? You will never be the leader you're supposed to be. You'll never be the man you're supposed to be. You'll never be the woman you're supposed to be. if you don't go through certain things.
You have to.
And we are living in a culture right now that is a culture of avoidance that runs away from, I believe, runs away from preparation, because preparation's hard. Yeah. And you're talking about training, right? It applies to every area of life, this training process. Yep. Too many people running from the training because they just want to be able to get in the ring and start throwing punches.
Yeah. They want the end result before they put the work in.
Yeah.
Right. And so it takes that sacrifice, and they have to identify that the actual preparation is what's truly allowing them to grow.
Yeah.
Not the wins. It's actually the losses, because then you learn from those losses and the preparation that it takes to get you there. Now, if you have proper preparation, obviously you're going to be better off to succeed. But even if you don't, even if you do lose, learn from that. And
wouldn't you say, though, I don't mean to cut you off, but wouldn't you say the biggest lessons, though, come from losing?
Absolutely.
The person who loses learns more than the person who just trains and trains and trains.
That's the biggest problem that I see with a lot of guys that just are very talented.
Yeah.
Right. They have the skill set, the natural God-given talent to, and we put it in fighting because fighting's primal.
Sure.
Right?
Absolutely.
So even if you are in competition and you're losing, you better put yourself, or you're winning, and you put yourself in a position in the training room to go through some difficult times, to go through some hardship and some friction. That's going to allow you to understand what you need to get better at.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't know what they don't know, and that's the biggest problem. So you have to spend some time in solitude and really identify that. I always say, like, when I talk to myself, I'm having expert conversation because I know me.
Yeah.
Right? Nobody knows me but me.
That's right.
Now, at that point, I'm also talking with God.
Right.
And I'm trying to align myself with the path of where he wants me to go. And at that point, it allows me to simplify a lot of different things in my life.
Yeah.
Because you're always trying to attack and go to things that may not be a part of your path. And typically, it's less difficult to go and walk towards the path that God has given you, because things start to align effectively. When you start to see things not pan out the way they should, it's for a reason. But a lot of people, especially young people, they think it's because I'm not good enough. It's because I'm not learning enough. It's because I'm not doing enough. And that's a problem. Just take a step back, learn each day, and don't beat yourself up if you don't get it right away.
Yeah. Well, failure is a huge part of life. And there's a kind of a thing that's going around on social. I reposted it the other day, but the saying is, in the gym, we know that we train to failure, right? Because we know that it allows us to grow. But it's the only area of life where we adopt that mentality, right? Failure in every other area is, oh, you messed up, you went too far, or you shouldn't have done this, or failure is bad, right? But failure is not always bad. Failure is necessary for growth. And we know that that's true, again, primal. We know it's true in the most basic sense in terms of fitness, in terms of muscle growth, but we treat it like in terms of spiritual growth or mental growth, emotional growth, that failure is this automatic shame. There's all this shame associated with it. But let me ask you, give me, what were some of your biggest failures along the way?
Several. From a professional standpoint, jumping into certain situations that I wasn't prepared for because I thought that that's what I needed to do. Like, case in point, getting and leasing out a space to do my training, knowing that it's going to be a large overhead. And I'm going to be losing money.
Yeah.
I didn't have a system in place. I didn't know what was going to be my return.
You were how old?
22, 23.
How big was the space?
At that point, we went from 800 square feet to 11,000 square feet.
11,000 square feet.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so
that's as big as our studio.
Yeah, it was.
You're 24 years old running an 11,000 square foot training facility.
Yeah, 350 members, somewhere around there.
Wow.
Yeah. And it grew so fast.
Yeah.
And I could have taken a step back and kind of slowed it down a bit so that I can get all of my understanding of business and finance in order.
Yeah.
But I was just rolling with the punches, per se.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that was one. Another one would be make sure that you read all of your contracts and you get a lawyer to look at those contracts. Because when you're in fight mode, it's just, I want to go, 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 go.
Yep.
And so people, including myself, like speed is everything. Speed, get there, fast. Take a step back and really identify and read the fine print.
Yeah.
That allows you to really fine tune the details so that these things don't happen to you.
You said that's your biggest professional. How about personal? Personal failures.
Personal failures, I would say, in the beginning when I was with my fiance, then to be wife, now wife, I was still focused on myself too much. I didn't put my family first. And so I would do things that were out of character. And I knew it in my heart, in my soul, that it was wrong. Taking trips that I shouldn't have, spending less time with them, being in fight mode, being in warrior mode.
Yeah.
And I lost a lot of time in the beginning. Now I'm getting that time back. So now I put a dedicated time to my wife and my kids every week. It's a non-negotiable. But I'll tell you this, if you are a young parent, especially when the kids are growing, spend as much time as possible, because that's all they know. They don't care about the money. They don't care about the fame. They care about time.
Yep.
And so that's my biggest regret as of right now. And I'm getting that back.
And I'm, by the way, really glad that I'm getting that time back. But you're right. I think too often, I tell young parents all the time, I would describe it as long days, because they are some long days, especially when they're small, but short years. Like those years go by quick. And all of a sudden you look back and you're like, for what I wouldn't give for one more day, right? One more day of them being, little and obviously, you can't have that ever again, but the value of what comes in that time and how short it's with you, it's pretty incredible. Yeah. It really is.
Well, I try to spend every moment, especially when I'm at home now, shut off the phone and be present. If I play manhunt with my son and his friends, right? I'm present. Phone's in, I'm not bringing my phone with me. If I'm going on a trip or going on a vacation, leave the phone at home or leave it in the car or whatever have you. Just don't be glued to it.
Sure.
Because then you get those notifications, you're running businesses and people, it's not their time, it's your time with your family.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's go back to your process of building. So you were working on your focus. You were told at one point you can't train and be the fighter, right? You got to pick one. You kind of at some point made I don't want to call it an ego shift, but maybe it was a bit of an ego shift to say, I'm going to go from the guy fighting in the cage to the guy training and building the guys who were fighting in the cage. How did you make that decision?
Well, it got forced on me through God.
Okay.
I would say that because I was coming off of a win and I had a fight lined up. I was in camp. I was 2 weeks out from my fight and I got a bad concussion in sparring. And it wasn't even really like hard sparring. So there's differences. So, typically within a camp, you start to taper off, right? 2 weeks out, you're not really doing much. You're just trying to fine tune the game plan. Yeah. We were doing technical sparring, meaning that we weren't going hard, no hard shots, just again, fine tuning the details. My training partner at the time has been a training partner of mine for years. He threw a head kick and very light, but he came down fast on the opposite side. So he did a spinning back kick and hit me in the back of the head. Okay. And I was concussed. I was like, okay, I got rocked. It is what it is. Yeah. But this was different. And I knew I was concussed. I've had over 8 or 9 concussions that I can remember through football and through fighting. And I was dizzy, all the signs. And so I went to the neurologist and they ran some tests. They said, listen, if you don't stop, by the time you're 50, you're going to have Alzheimer's.
Wow.
And at that point, I'm 25, 26, I believe at the time. I'm like, man, I got a long career ahead of me. I got a long life ahead of me.
Yeah.
And my son was about to be born. So at that point, I had a decision to make. And I talked to Dean Thomas, who was my coach. And I asked him, I was like, what should I do? And he's like, man, listen, if this was like, your knee or your back, we could work around it. But it's your brain. You don't really want to work around that. And so I had a decision to make. And then I started to identify the true purpose again. Like, oh man, I'm doing well with my coaching. I'm doing well with my business. Yeah, I'm having spurts of success in the fight game, but it's not as consistent. And so I made the decision ultimately to retire from fighting and competition. And then from there, I was like, all right, full go. Let's be the best coach that I can be. And then what ended up happening, through the grace of God, things started to open up. Opportunities started to open up for me because I was focused on what my true purpose was. And sky's the limit now. And again, I've always looked at it as a blessing, not as a curse. Identifying those injuries and being like, okay, what is the best route to go now? So it was helpful. God gave me a good awakening call, right?
Yeah.
Woke me up.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got at least 80 plus fighters that you've trained. You have some champions that you've trained as well.
Yep.
What's that like? What is that feeling when you take somebody and you build them into a world champion fighter?
It's like, it's almost better working with somebody and getting them to that goal than it is for myself. I've had more feeling of accomplishment seeing my guys win world titles than me fighting and winning.
Why do you think that is?
I think it's because of the fact that, and this is just me, but I think it's because you're teaching them, you're educating them, you're giving them all your knowledge, all your effort, all your passion towards their goal. And I go back to thinking about my purpose and helping others. I think helping others innately, we just feel more accomplished.
Yeah.
Because you've been through it. Like, if I win a fight, it's great. Now what's the next thing? But when you can see someone and you go, we have some limitations that you have here. And then you can identify those limitations and then put a strategy together that allows them to get better. And you see it in real time.
Yeah.
And you get their dreams accomplished. It's like I'm living vicariously through them, right? And I think that's why I am a coach. I am a trainer. I am a teacher and educator, because I'd rather do that than do it for myself.
Yeah. Sometimes I hear people say the phrase vicariously, though, and I think there's a connotation, a negative connotation to that. Almost as if, it kind of goes with the adage, those who can do, those who can't teach, right?
Yeah.
But that's not you at all. And I think what you're describing is more of this is bigger than just me.
Yes.
Like, too often we have this concept that if I am a champion, then it has to be about me, not I build champions, right? You also trained Olympic gold medalist Kayla Harrison, right? But that wasn't MMA.
No, it was MMA.
It was MMA.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I trained Kayla right when she made her transition to MMA.
Got it.
And the other thing that I could say with these elite fighters and athletes in general, they do not stop. And so I can identify exactly what is causing them to not progress, because they're their own worst enemies. Because they want to work harder. They want to push. They want to achieve. And that's a great thing.
Yeah.
But sometimes you have to pull them back. You have to move one step back to move 3 steps forward.
Yeah.
I think it's more about being able to dissect the problem. I think I like being a problem solver. And for me, I'm also a provider. And so I want to provide the knowledge, the execution, and the strategy to allow them to get to where they want to be. But at the same time, it's fun to train these individuals because they have so much God-given talent.
Sure.
And so if I could just fine-tune those details, I can get them 1% better.
Yeah.
Because it makes me think. It makes me evolve. It makes me want to learn more. And that's because I want them to achieve. I want them to do great things. And if I could do that, then again, I'm fulfilling that purpose.
Building something bigger than just yourself, right? Pouring into other people. So much so you were trainer of the year back to back. Is that right?
Yeah. I think, yeah. So 3 back to back, and then
3 back to back.
Then 2 after that. Yeah.
And 2 after that. Right. So everybody's like, this guy's killing it, right? Training people, getting people into fighting shape, building fighters, building people. Too often, again, there is especially in professional sports, it is such an ego obsessed world to be in, right? Everything is about brand building and my name and who I am and what have I accomplished and accolades and all that, right? And you're doing something very countercultural there. You're doing something that goes against the grain of how most people view this.
I think another reason why I became a coach was because I'm a very selfless person. It's hard for me to be selfish. It really is. That's why I have a family that I have, and I try to provide as much as possible for them.
Yeah.
But I would be a bold-faced liar if I said that I don't like to compete.
Sure.
Right? So how do I compete? Well, then the way that I can compete is to learn more, to grow, to evolve as a coach, as a leader, as a communicator.
Yeah.
And then finding out what are my limitations as that communicator. Maybe I need to learn more about personalities. Maybe I need to have better conversations with these individuals and go a little bit deeper. And that allowed me to be, or at least to work towards being the best coach that I could be, because I do want to compete for myself. I'm competing against myself every day.
Yeah.
It's not for accolades. It's not for awards. It's not for world titles even sometimes, even though those are great.
Sure.
I love those. It's really just to be better than the day before. And if you can identify that and you can digest that, you will be better off down the line. And you'll be better off towards the people that you care about too as well.
Yeah. Let's talk about your family. You mentioned the two girls and then you have a son.
Yep.
You mentioned your son he's now 11 years old?
Yeah.
Okay. And his name's Leonidas?
Yep.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That's a very cool name. Tell me a bit about that. The decisions that you've made now that you're a father and how you pour into him, because this is what you do for a living, right? You pour into people. How does that change when it comes to your own son and the knowledge and the passions you're pouring into him?
Such a good question, because my son is different. I try not to be a coach all the time, right? I have to be a parent. Sometimes I have to obviously show him the right ways doing things, lead by example.
Yeah.
I do more leading by example than anything. Because I'm his dad, you know, he may not see the world titles. He doesn't see, oh, I train such and such. He just knows that I'm dad.
Yeah.
And so I have to be there for him throughout everything, right? If he has a bad day, right, we're just going to talk about that day. We're going to identify why that happened or why you're feeling that way. And not just be, you need to do this, you need to do that. It's how can we get to this? How can we work together to make you feel whole, to allow yourself to grow in a path that you want to go to? I'm not trying to push him in any direction. I'm just trying to help lead him in the direction he wants to go. As long as those guardrails are set, right? And, you know, for me, I played sports all my life. He's not really into sports like that.
Okay.
And that's fine. You know, he doesn't have to play football. He doesn't, you know, doesn't really have to do martial arts, but he will try it. I will put him in these positions so that he can just understand if this is something that he wants to do. So I allow my kids to do whatever they feel is necessary, as long as they stay the course. If they make a decision to actually go through it, they have to finish. Now, if that's something that they don't want to do next, finish the season, and then we'll figure it out from there.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing.
How's that been so far? Have you had one where it was kind of a meltdown along the way of, I don't want to do this?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And so you have to instill that work ethic and understanding that you have to see it through.
Yeah. Because it's not about the sport. It's about what's internal.
Yeah. It's more of a life lesson than anything. And, you know, I remember putting him in soccer, and his sister plays soccer too. And it was something that his sister did, so he wanted to do it. Hated it.
Yeah.
First game. Hated it.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, me too.
It's the worst sport of all.
Yeah. Well, you know, I was, and then I said, listen, don't think about soccer as a sport. Think about what you're going to get out of that sport.
Yeah.
You're with a team.
Yep.
You have to be responsible.
Yep.
You have to be on time. You have to be a team player. You have to be able to communicate. Movement quality is key, right? So now you're gaining some conditioning. You're running a lot.
Yep.
So now you're increasing your health. And so then he started to identify, okay, I like running. So it was through that sport that he understood that I just like to run.
Yeah.
And so now he wants to do track.
Oh, nice.
And so it kind of situates himself. And then we did football, we did flag football.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I like it, but I'd rather just run. And so again, okay, now we're fine tuning the lane. and now we'll execute accordingly when the time comes.
So does he have more of the mentality of competing with himself?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like there's something special about that. Something special about a mentality that says I can, because I think that's the toughest opponent.
Mm-hmm.
Tons of respect. My wife was a marathon runner. She ran multiple marathons. I just can't do it. Physically, I trained with her one time. We were training for a marathon. I ran like 22 miles in the training, hurt my knee at the end of it. I was like, I'm not going to actually run the thing. So I can physically do it.
Yeah.
It's the mentality though. Like you have to be in your own head.
True.
And able to, and that's harder, I think, than having anybody else on the field against you, anybody on a court against you. The hardest thing is running and being in your own head.
I do like endurance for that simple fact.
Yeah.
Because it's a long game.
Mm-hmm.
And so with everything in life, it's the long game.
Mm-hmm.
Now you'll have bursts of energy and sprints that you need to go through.
Yeah.
Right. But you then, once you get to that end, well, you got another sprint to go.
Yeah.
I did a 100-mile ruck in December.
Wow.
And did 20 miles a day for 5 days straight.
It's crazy.
My feet were beat up.
Yeah.
You know, my back was torn apart. Right. But it allowed me to identify what I could do, the endurance that I could provide myself through obviously proper planning and progression throughout that process of getting ready for this thing. And I'll tell you this, a year before that, I went and did it, or I attempted it, and I put myself in the hospital. I got rhabdomyolysis, muscles were breaking down, I was in kidney failure, I was, urinating blood.
Wow.
And I
It's
learned.
delightful.
Yeah, it's awesome, right? And I learned from that process. I said, well, I didn't plan accordingly.
Yeah.
And every step was excruciating. I was like walking on broken glass. My feet were torn apart. I had holes in the bottom of my feet the size of silver dollars. Like, it was bad. But again, just like fighting and just like putting yourself through an arduous situation, you find out who you are, right? Mentally, you become stronger. Obviously, physically, you become calloused.
Yes.
And so it allows you to be better throughout that process. But another thing it did was teach me a lesson. One, don't think that you're greater than you are, and you have to plan, and you have to put a team around you that will allow you to succeed. So I wanted to do that for 3 reasons. One, to glorify God, because without him, I couldn't do it. 2 was to raise funds for our military veterans.
Okay.
And 3 was to showcase that you could lose or you could fail. And as long as you can come back from that, learn from that process, create a solid team around you, have a better plan of action, and then continuously go through the process more methodically as opposed to trying to rush through it. So for instance, the year before that, I went hot off the gate. I started running 5 miles an hour. I was trying to get it done fast.
Yeah.
That's not the goal. It's just be enduring and keep moving.
Yeah.
And when I did that, I go, okay, listen, I'm not going to think about the 100 miles. I'm going to think about 10 miles, and I'm going to break it up into 10-mile chunks every day. I'm going to do 10 miles, and I'm going to rest for 2 hours. And I'm going to do another 10 miles. And I'm going to do it again for 5 days straight. And by the end of the week, we walked through the finish line, and I got 100 miles done.
Wow.
So it's just more about having a strategic plan and then being able to cope with those stresses for a longer duration of time.
Yeah. I think there's so much truth to that in so many areas of life. And I think that for me personally, one reason I've been able to succeed is I've always had a good mentality of just put your head down and grind, right? If you don't know what else to do, I guess the analogy would be just pick up something and carry it, right? Just move something, do something. And I think that that's another thing that's really missing in our society right now is we are not training people to just move. Like you said the paralysis of analysis earlier, right? And I think there's a lot of that where you have this, well, what's the right decision? What's the right thing to do? Young people who want to start a business and it's like, so I'm going to need funding and I'm going to need this and this. And they have 1,000 things they need. It's like, sometimes you just have to pick up something and go, right? And I think we're bad at that. I think we're becoming increasingly worse at it.
Yeah.
And I think as men specifically, we're losing that mentality. We talked about this before we started, but I want to revisit it. So I got married super young, 20 years old, started having kids, 5 kids by the time I was 27. I know you started early too, and you've had kids in your life the whole time. Yeah. I think there is something incredibly profound about becoming a father early. That's something that's missing for young men today. We have a generation of young men who are not getting married. They're not having kids. They're kind of backing away from that. I actually think it's a huge mistake. I think there's this enormous value to the difficulty, and man, it's difficult. It's hard. The difficulty, the struggle, the pain, the fear associated with being responsible for other people's lives, and I gotta figure it out. Period. Like there's no other options. Nobody's coming to save you. And you're the one who has to save them. You're the one who has to carry them. And I think that's something that's missing. And I wanted to ask you about that in terms of kind of your view of that endurance thing. One of the reasons that I think a lot of men don't have endurance anymore is because they don't have anyone to endure for. How do you see that?
We as human beings seek comfort.
Yeah.
The problem is that that's not life.
Right.
Life is about suffering.
Yeah.
And overcoming that suffering to create a stronger connection. Now, I'm a religious man. I'm a Catholic. And Jesus Christ gave us the ultimate suffering. And so if I can live Christ-like, in which we all should strive to do that, I have to embrace the suffering. With that, you have responsibilities.
Yeah.
So you have to be strategic because you don't want to put yourself in a position to where you can't come back from it. You can't help those that rely on you. But at the same time, if you can push to the edge and create a longer path for yourself, just get to the edge. You don't have to fall over that edge. But if you get to that edge, then it becomes a little bit more steep, a little bit more wider. And so you begin to callous the mind and the body. Whenever you go through difficult situations, it's just another day. It's just another task. It's just another problem to solve. That's why I like the weight room. Because the weight room gives you those micro traumas. It gives you things to have to overcome in a controlled environment so that when other difficult situations come about, you know how to handle that from a psychological standpoint, from a physical standpoint. Psychologically and innately, we don't want to go through pain. But pain is somewhat necessary. Pain is a perceived threat too as well. And so is fear. But I also like to reframe fear because fear, for all intents and purposes, can be good because it'll get you away from these deathly situations that may come about, right? Something that is going to be detrimental. But it allows you, that fear, if you can reframe it, to allow you to prepare accordingly. It's like when I got ready for fights. It's like I needed to be in fear of a loss, of damage, because it allowed me to train harder. Otherwise, why would I get out of bed? One of my fighters, who's world champion, big name, at the end of his career, after, he got title shots and all that, he said, man, I just want to fight. I want to go and compete against people that allow me to get out of bed. Otherwise, why am I doing it? So we need to find difficult tasks, but we also need to understand why we're doing what we're doing. And things change over time. When you have a family, it's not all about you anymore.
Right.
It's about them. And so the decisions you make, the execution that you go through, it's all about what can I do to get them to where I need them to be so that they are comforted, knowing that everything's going to be all right.
Yeah. You are working with CEOs now as well. And we were talking before we started that a lot of those guys, guys who are 30, 40 years old who have never had kids. How do you think that impacts them? Do you think it stunts them in any way? I mean, if they're CEOs, hey, you're doing great, right?
Yeah.
But what part of their life is either missing in terms of the legacy opportunity versus also how many of those guys built it from the ground up or stepped into a situation that somebody else had built? I'm curious.
I would say majority of them built it from the ground up.
Okay.
Majority. And they reached a level of success where now they're lost. They don't know what's next. And then they start to drift and go into trying to do things outside of their scope of practice, which is fine.
Yeah.
But outside of their character is the problem.
Mm.
And so there's character flaws that come about because there isn't anybody that's looking at them as an example.
Mm.
So what I tell them, and I say this, there's got to be, if you don't have kids, make sure that you have someone that you are mentoring or that you're taking care of so that you can still be the example, because you have to have that spotlight on you, because it allows you to increase your character and have better understanding of your values and your virtues. Because if not, nobody's actually looking at you. You can make a bad deal. You can be somewhat slimy in a way, because you don't see anybody looking at you as a father figure, whoever it is. But for me, I always know that, one, I'm being looked upon by God.
Yeah.
So I live and I try to instill virtues in others, or at least to help them identify those virtues. But if you don't have someone that is looking upon you for that advice or as an example, it's very hard to evolve that.
Have you ever had a fighter that you were training whose character did not line up with you in a way that you couldn't train them?
Absolutely.
You have.
Athletes in general.
Yeah.
If I've worked with some NFL guys, NBA guys, and, at that point, you have to separate.
Yeah.
And it is what it is.
Well, what would that mentality be like? Can you give us some examples of what it was like? You don't have to out them.
Yeah, no. So it would be primarily not doing the right thing and trying to do it just for their own selfish reasons, or trying to cheat the system, or not listening to an authority that is trying to help them, where they think that they're better than what they are or better than everyone else around them. And that's a character flaw. I'd rather have good character, great values, great virtues, and they may not be as skilled, and I can teach them how to be or give them those skills and acquire those skills, than someone that has all those skills but has zero character and has bad values. And that's where you have to separate yourself, because that can lead into your own self.
Yeah.
So I try to make that distinction right away. So we do have a full conversation about at least 2 hours.
Really?
To identify who they are.
What are some of the questions you ask?
Well, a lot of it comes down to personality, right? So what's their upbringing? What truly drives them? What is their actual why? Why did they start to get into this sport? Why did they start to fight? And sometimes in the beginning, especially at young kids, they want to be world champions. They want to make a lot of money. But then there should be a shift. Once they develop a family, they start to organize that family. It has to be for them. Because otherwise, it's going to be very hard for you to get out of bed every day for an 8-week camp to just do it for yourself.
Yeah. And
you'll negotiate with yourself, because it's not for them, it's for you. So, I feel bad today, I'm not going to go. But they don't have a choice. Yeah. So that's where I go, okay, this is a key factor that we have to either hit on. Maybe I have to make them identify it, and maybe they'll make the switch. And if they don't, then we have to part ways.
Your son, your daughters hopefully will listen to this. I imagine they will. I hope mine will.
Yeah.
But to the sons and daughters who are watching this, whoever they belong to, what is something you wish, no, I'll rephrase that. What is something you would now tell yourself when you were 22, 23, 24 years old? If you were to give yourself advice and said, I see you, young man, here's what I would tell you, what would you say?
I'll go back to it. Don't be in a rush. Be patient. Take every opportunity to learn, whether it be good or bad, and figure out what is the true path that you need to go. And in your 20s, especially in your early to late 20s, you're just trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Experiment for sure within a certain frame that doesn't deviate from your character, doesn't deviate from your values and your virtues. Find a system that allows you to do that. Create a routine that allows you to create habit that is positive. Because with those habits, you're going to create a better character for yourself that will transition into the people that you are taking care of. And with that, you'll find your destiny. So through that character and habitual practices will allow you to have a greater character so that you can instill it in those that you bring to this earth.
I love it. Phil Daru, man, great having you on.
I appreciate it, bro.
Anything else that you want to add before we shut it off?
This is great, man. The biggest thing is, one thing that I'll leave is this, is that I've been able to do great things in my life, and it's never going to end. You're always going to want to do more. Like I said, figure out really why you're doing what you're doing. And if it's something that allows you to have meaning, to feel meaning, to have joy in your work, and create lifelong relationships that you can feel happy about, that's the path that you need to take. That's where you need to be. That's the room that you need to be in. For all the young kids out there, get into a room, get into a circle that you can have interesting conversations like we're having.
Yeah.
So it allows you to evolve your mentality and your mindset so now you can think on a higher level. I'm cool and I love, just the quick conversations and how you doing today.
Yeah.
But I will tell you this. There's a large gap between communication now with the young kids because of all the electronics. They're on video games all the time. What I do with my coaches, and I've been able to mentor over 5,000 coaches. The first thing that I have them do has nothing to do with strength and conditioning. I tell them to go find 5 strangers, walk up to them and start a conversation that has nothing to do with fitness and sport performance. And they come back to me and they say, man, I had a great conversation with this guy, with this girl. And I found out things from myself that I would never have known because I sparked up a conversation with a complete stranger.
Yeah.
Because it causes friction. It's uncomfortable. Put yourself in uncomfortable situations and be able to articulate what you want to get accomplished or what you want to understand. And that allows you to grow immediately. And so it becomes easier over time.
Right on. That's awesome, man.
Thank you,
brother. Thank you.
Awesome.
Well, thank you for watching Sons and Daughters. Again, this was our first podcast of what will be many, but we're glad that you were a part of it, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and like this on whatever platform you're on. And if you're on YouTube, hit that bell notification so that you'll know when our next episode comes out. I'll see you next time.